Hi, and welcome to the Prickly Pear Show. I'm Ron Furman, and you're not. With me today is a very, very amazing person named Warren Fogelstein. Hello, Warren.
Hi, Ron.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me today.
Absolutely. It's a real pleasure. First off, I want to let everybody know that Happy Gay Pride Day. Is that something that we can say today?
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride Day? Yeah, we can't say Gay Pride Day. We just say Pride Day. That's just how it is. Just because we say pride, you can be proud of anything. Why the pride has to be just for one people? Anyways, happy Pride Day for everybody out there. Wishing you guys an amazing day. I want to first off thank our sponsor, ENS Plumbers. You guys can give them a call at 416-821-4441. Anytime you need an amazing plumber, please contact Eric. Again, the number is 416-821-4441. So first off, welcome to the show. It is amazing to be back. We took last week back. We weren't able to work because of a certain situation. We had an amazing guest that unfortunately couldn't come, but I did get to hear him speak the next day, and it was just incredible. So hopefully that gentleman can come back on the show. But today it's all about you. What we do on the show is we talk about the everyday heroes. We try to introduce people that are doing amazing things in the community, but at the same time, people who are heroes to those around them. So it doesn't have to be on a macro level, it could be also on a micro level. But with you, it's not just about the micro, it's a lot more about the macro. You've been able to inspire so many people out there with your story. You're an award winner for your talks. And when I say the word hero, I want you to tell me what does it really mean to you?
Everyone has a hero.
Okay.
Whether it be Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. It depends on the person of what they're, Batman was my hero growing up, because the reason why I chose Batman always is because it's just a guy that he has no powers. Just really smart. Of course he has a lot of money, but like anyone could work out really hard, study really hard, learn martial arts or whatever, buy a bat cave,
Right.
I actually went through a process in the past couple years, and on October 31st, 2019, no, 18, sorry,
That's okay.
18, I actually met my hero, and I'd be happy to share that with you.
Yes, of
It
course.
was the first day that I actually found who my hero truly is.
Okay.
And it was Halloween, October 31st, right? And I'm at the hospital, and my routine is usually I have a ton of different doctor's appointments, plus everything else that I'm dealing with, and I'm really trying, I'm always pushing, I'm always going, and I don't really stop to smell the roses, so to speak. I don't really stop to see what is actually going on. And I just got out of an appointment with a surgeon, actually a doctor, and it wasn't one of those happy, like, okay, you're great, you're doing well, all that stuff. It's basically I had to make a decision, to go ahead with, a protocol that they wanted to apply, right? And I've been avoiding this all my life, like not on my past couple months or so, right? I've been avoiding the conversation, and I've been avoiding it, and there was a lot going on, and the feeling of, the doctor says we can't keep having the same conversation. So as I'm walking out of there, and I booked the appointment to carry on with what he prescribed, and it felt like my stomach flipped. It was probably the most hardest moment ever. It's like making a decision that's very hard for you, but you got to do it.
Okay.
Committing to something that you don't know the outcome, and he didn't know the outcome either.
Okay.
And the thing is, I already signed up for all these other programs, courses, and an intensive program which I was about to which I was already embarking in, and was way behind with this program that I was in, plus everything else I'm dealing with. So imagine for a moment your cup is already full, and you're already dealing with all these different things.
Right.
So my heart's racing, and I check with my coach at the time, and I call him, and I just double check the dates of when I'm supposed to present during the program and what the dates are and everything.
Right.
Thank God I called him, right? Because I wouldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
And so he gives it to me, and I book the appointment, and I'm literally shaking because it was very difficult for me. And everyone has their moments when you do something that's hard, but this time we don't know what the outcome is.
Right.
So I'm walking out there, and I just stand there for a moment in the hallway of the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And there's doctors flying back and forth, one with their cell phone with coffee in the other hand,
Mm-hmm.
and there's clowns because it's Halloween, and there's like people in costumes and running up and down, and I'm standing there on my crutches, and it's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There should be like street lights,
Right.
or there should be like
people running around.
yeah,
the patient,
you're
of course.
already in the hospital. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, there's stretchers like nearly got swiped with it by somebody's wheelchair, which
Mm-hmm.
happened before.
Okay.
So standing there, and honestly, like, it felt like arrows were flying at me. The amount of pressure was just so high at that moment, and I literally looked up. I stood there and I looked up, and it was as if time stopped for a moment, and I said to the heavens, I said to God, I'm like, just show me how. Like, I'm not blaming, and I never have that attitude of blaming.
Mm-hmm.
My entire life, I've never blamed anything for my situation, and physical disabilities or anything. It's just like, it was another thing to deal with.
Right, of course.
And I looked up and I'm like, just show me how, because I couldn't see it.
And there are many people out there that probably reach your point. You know, they have kids, they have a job, they have to, like, you know, things happen in their life, they get into a car accident, not another thing. But here, this is something that, you know, you weren't able to already hold on to because you're struggling with everything that you already have to deal with.
Right.
Okay, so who was the person?
And plus, I also, like, I that week or the week before, I was already gallivanting to all these different hospitals. Like, I was already dealing with a flare-up or whatever it is that I normally deal with. Right. And, you know, it was just, how can I deal with another thing? How can I go and commit to something else? And I literally looked up, and for a moment, it was as if time stopped.
Right.
And for a moment, that I became the observer, and I basically saw, for a moment, all of the hard times that I've been through, from the hospital stays, the 23 days in the hospital, to everything, to the pain that I've gone through, to the deadlines that I've accomplished, to everything like that. And it just, like, fast, you know, like when you're making a movie or something, it's like I hit rewind, and I just saw for a moment, and then the feeling of fear or whatever it is that I was feeling at the moment, it started to dissipate. And at that moment, I realized how strong I really am. And when you talk about heroes, it's one thing for someone to tell you that, oh, you're a hero, you're a warrior, you're a peaceful warrior, you're strong, you're an inspiration. I hear this all the time, and I appreciate it so much. And I'm so grateful to inspire other people. But if you don't feel it for yourself, in your core, you will never know what that feeling is. It's like someone wishing you happy birthday. It's like, or Merry Christmas or Happy New Year or whatever. You feel it here, you know how strong you are. And that's the day I met my hero, and that hero is myself.
Amazing.
And that is something that was so strong. And as I'm walking out the hospital, my phone rings. It was my dad. And he says, what happened? How did it go? Like, because he knows it was at appointment. I was like, I was trying not to choke on the phone, and I felt a tear coming. I'm like, today's the day I learned how strong I am. And it's just like, now when I hear the word hero, it's a core feeling inside. It's that light within us that is so strong. And I always talk about it, and I always know about it, but when you feel it inside, there's a strength within that comes from above that connects the two. And when you can connect the two, you're able to achieve things and go through the things, the challenges that are given your way. And you never know what's coming, but you're going to be able to accomplish it when you have that. Somehow there's a connection.
There are people out there that are watching the show right now that they don't know about the type of disabilities that you have, the type of struggles that you have. I don't want to put you on, you know, sort of to tell a full story, but maybe in short, so the audience gets to understand what is it that you might have gone through. Like, clearly you're on crutches. I mean, you look healthier to me than the way I remember you before. But tell me a little bit about, or at least the audience, what you've gone through in your life. And you don't have to, again, go crazy, but just give us a little bit of your story so people understand.
Sure. I was born normal, fine, like healthy baby. thank God. As I was growing up, I received the gift of a disability. It was an illness, and
What is it called?
throughout my entire life, it was undiagnosed.
Okay.
So the majority of my life, doctors weren't really sure back then.
Mm-hmm.
You know, try this drug, try that drug. We weren't really sure what was going on, and a lot of things were happening at once. There was, you know, there was a gait issue that started forming when I was a child.
Okay.
And then there was a skin condition that was forming, and you know, you can imagine the amount of worry and scare that you know, you don't know what's going on, and running back and forth to the hospitals and growing up, and the pain, and getting up in the morning and not being able to, all of a sudden, like legs tensing up and you can't get to the bathroom, or like random chest pains or random. We didn't know what was going on the majority of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward, let's say, you know, elementary school, high school and stuff, I spent a lot of time using my wheelchair, completely dependent on it. I really didn't see another way. Like I used it all the time, and thank God, you know, my friends in high school and my family and all that, when you treat someone that has a disability as if they have a disability versus treating somebody as empowering them is the biggest gift you can give somebody.
Absolutely.
So I'm grateful for my family and friends and all that who treated me like everybody else. You know, we went out, went clubbing, like all this stuff. If you're a parent out there, and if there are any parents out there or anyone that's struggling with a disability, the best thing you can have is the support, is to empower them to do whatever it is that they can, or even push them a little harder.
Right.
And I was pushed a lot. I had trainers in Los Angeles that, you know, do 150 push-ups. I was screaming in pain, but I pushed myself. That helped me with my pain tolerance. Over the years, I spent most of my time, I'm summarizing. So when I moved to Toronto.
But did they find like what happened? Like,
there's a lower limb muscle weakness, and
Okay.
there's an degenerative condition, right? So, you know,
no, that's okay.
But there's, you know, circulation, and there's skin condition. There's a lot of different factors going on, right?
And how does it affect, like what type of effects did you have? Like, I could see something like in your hands. Like,
I've lost a lot of my extremities and functionality of them because of however the condition evolved. So especially in the cold weather, you know, if you're somebody normally gets a cut, your cells in your body go and they heal it up, right? So in other cases, sometimes they can't get there. They can't get there. So then something else opens up, another can of worms, so to speak. So when I moved back to Los Angeles, you know, I was still literally half the size I was. Nobody would recognize before and after pictures, which I gotta find. I showed somebody once, and they're like, "That's not you." They had an argument. I met.
You were also younger.
Yes,
So,
yes, it's true. But you know, but it was like a child. I was really, nobody would know how old I was because I was 19 or so, and then I looked like maybe I was like 12, 13, 14. So I met a trainer that was close by here actually. It was called the Mitzvah Technique Center, and it was an Israeli man, and he actually saw me one day and he started yelling at me in Hebrew, and he wanted me to help me. So as stubborn as I was back then, I had like this little walking stick plus the wheelchair and everything, and so he's the one that helped me to get on the crutches. And literally through posture and through techniques, it's sort of similar to the Alexandra technique. So he was the start of getting me to, you know, really grow up, so to speak, physically. Literally went from that hole to that hole from the crutches. And then I just keep on pushing myself, like going to the gym, hurting myself at the gym, 4 hours at the gym, then going to my physiotherapist, and they would tell me, you know, I told you to take it easy, but you don't seem to understand what that means.
Right.
I was very stubborn to get out of
the situation you were in.
Right. And, you know, I don't like getting pushed around in the wheelchair.
Okay, gotcha.
And nobody likes being pushed around.
Right.
So
you wanted your own independence.
Yeah.
You wanted to be able to just come in here, right?
And I still use it. You know, I still use it occasionally, or you know, I use it when I need to, and sometimes I have no choice. But I'm still always trying to find a way, and that's
Right.
the bottom line, is finding a way. No matter what challenge you're dealing with, we could find a way to find some solution.
So that's great. Where do you find the strength? Thank you everybody for joining us today. I'm here with Warren Falkenstein, who's talking to us a little bit about overcoming disability and pushing yourself forward. The hardest thing to probably do is to push yourself. Like let's just say I'm tired in the morning. I'm going to use something simple, but like I'm tired. Like I don't want to get up, right? So like that first hour seems like forever. I have to wash my face, go through a routine. But that's something simple. That's just literally awakening. But for you, most things are a struggle, right? Walking down the stairs, like the things that the average person doesn't see as an issue, they can jump the 5 stairs that I have here. And for you, it took you some time to walk down the stairs. So where does it come from? Where do you find that will to push forward and to really be your best self? Where does it come from? Where does that strength come in from? Is it something you developed over time? Is it something that, like sometimes, you're just fed up of lying in bed all the time? Like where did you find that strength?
I think logically, I probably can write 3 pages of every reason possible why I don't need to get out of bed in the morning, or why I can't get out of bed in the morning. Whether it's aching pains, or whether it's loss of hope, or whether it's just, giving up, or whatever it is that I'm dealing with. It can take me sometimes 3 hours in the morning to get up and get going, right? But I got stuff to do, and I live a life of purpose. And
That's a big one.
my motive is, my purpose is stronger than my pain. So I live a life of purpose over pain. So I may be...
Wait, stop. This is huge. Purpose over pain. There are many people that are dealing with a lot of issues, right? Like it doesn't matter what it is, and pain doesn't have to be just physical. Sometimes it could be internal or mental, whatever it may be, and that person needs to find that purpose. And in my discovery of going through like the mental health research, I found that it was purpose really that made me get up in the morning and do it. There are a lot of lucky people out there who have kids, and they know that their life is no longer about themselves. The life is about their kids. So that is their purpose. But you, a young man, kind of like, what is the purpose? Like, where did you find purpose in terms of living? Like, many people in your position will be like, I don't want to live the rest of my life like this. This is not fair. And, be angry at God or whatever, which we're going to kind of get into. So talk to me about finding that purpose. What is that purpose? What was purpose for you?
Sure. First of all, I believe that everyone here in this world is here for a purpose. Okay, what that purpose is, there is no whiteboard or there is no like manual up there that says exactly what your purpose is in this world. The purpose that you choose it to be is what it is. And at the end of the day, it's your call of what you want to make your life about and how you want it to make it meaningful. People, we are all going to go through challenges. We're going to go through pain. We're going to go through suffering. But we're going to rise from it. Because one way or another, we're still here in this world.
Right.
And as long as we're still here, if we woke up in the morning, that means we're still needed spiritually, cosmically, physically. Somebody else out there needs us.
That's huge.
And that is one of the reasons why if I wake up with a condition that some people have more severe conditions than I do, I know, and mine is pretty severe. It's a chronic illness that there is no cure. And it's risky, and doctors freak out. Some of them are not happy, like have the doctor face,
Yeah.
It's like,
what are you doing?
yeah, why is he smiling?
Yeah.
So I, walk into a hospital, I'll walk into an emergency and I'll say, it's party time, because somebody out there needs to be lifted up. So when I chose a life of inspiration, it was something that, I feel, especially when people come and say how much, when you help another person, it drives you. Right? But it's also driving yourself because you're walking the talk more, right? So, of course, you have to balance. Of course, you have to take care of your health. You have to take care of your pain. You have to find ways of dealing with it, of course. And I know the severity of the situations that people are dealing with, and there's no question about it. But find something that's bigger than yourself to work towards.
Where do you find, I'm sure there are people right now tuning in and they want to know maybe where do you find the strength to really move forward? Like, I know that you did a talk, it's called something with regards to God. right? Are you angry at God? And you are, I'm not going to say you're religious, but you clearly you're not religious, right? But you're somewhat observant. I think you go to synagogue, you go to the Kabbalah Center, like you're involved, if I remember correctly. So I know that you're spiritually involved. Where do you find that strength? Is it with God? Is it within yourself? Is it with the experience that you're seeing? Because, in my opinion, if I'm really struggling, I don't want to see the world. I'm not interested in talking to anyone. Like, at that moment in time, I want to focus on me. There does come a time where you have to break out of that and say, okay, the world is bigger than just myself. But most of the time when I'm struggling, I don't want to see anyone. And you have probably that time in your life that you are talking to someone because you're by yourself. You're sitting in a hospital room. You're talking to yourself, but you're probably talking to your spiritual self. Where do you find that strength? Is it something just within you? Is it something with religion? Is it something your parents taught you? I'm just curious to know where you find that strength, because we're all looking for it.
I am the result. I feel that I am the result of all
Accumulative? Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Accumulation of all the self-development,
Mm-hmm.
all the spiritual study, all of the hard work into one
Mm-hmm.
package
Mm-hmm.
of who I am today.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean I found the way. It doesn't mean everyone is going to be able to connect something different.
Right.
Now, there are thousands of different tools out there. I'm a meditation artist. I'm doing this. I'm doing that.
Mm-hmm.
There's water drinking. There's the socializing. There's so many different tools. There's energy healing, and there's all these different modalities out there,
Mm-hmm.
which I've delved on.
Yeah.
Right. There is no one answer.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes back to what I was saying before, is to see yourself of who you are today, of what you've gone through,
Mm-hmm.
and how far you've gotten. I believe with all my heart and soul that there is always a master plan for everybody, and that there is a bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
And similar to the story that I just said, if I didn't move from Los Angeles back here,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I wouldn't have met that guy. Maybe I would still be in a wheelchair.
Right.
There's a bigger picture playing,
Mm-hmm.
right? But what gets me going is that, okay, I'm still here. I still got work to do. So there's still something that needs to be discovered or found, or, somebody is going through something that's very hard and they don't want to talk to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay sometimes
Yeah, for sure.
to do that. And it's okay sometimes for you to have your space.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not okay to know that you're not going to be okay, if that resonates with anybody.
Right.
Because there is still some kind of, if you believe in the spiritual realm, or you believe in guardian angels, or afterlife, or whatever it is that you believe in, hang on to them. Whether you believe you have some support system with you, there are so many miracle stories happening to people all the time,
Mm-hmm.
right? But you're going through something, and maybe what you're going through is going to save somebody's life.
Right.
Maybe the pain is so excruciating at that moment, which I've gone through, and you just want to scream, and you just want to give up. And I've been there. But it will pass, because pain is not, it's not everlasting, right? It's temporary, but sometimes it feels like a lifetime. And sometimes people do have chronic illness and chronic pain that goes on forever and ever and ever.
Mm-hmm.
It may seem that way, but it does help with the mindset change.
This is going to be a little bit morbid, my question, but have you ever in your life felt that you might want to give up?
Yes.
Okay. And the reason I say that is because I think that, the more we live with pain, we kind of accept that this is our life. And nobody wants to live with pain, whether, again, as I said, whether it's internal, whether it's physical. Nobody wants to live in pain. And when all you're seeing is pain, doctors, hospitals. I don't even go see my doctor for regular checkups. The idea of having you going to the hospital from one for another test to wait, I'd lose my mind and say, what's the point? There's no purpose here. So talk to me maybe about a point that you felt, all right, I kind of want to give up, and what maybe led you to push yourself or get out of that moment.
Usually when we hit our pressure point,
Mm-hmm.
when we hit our level of limit, when we hit our limits, is usually the time when you want to give up. And at that moment is when you got to keep going, right? So I always have the example of how are diamonds made? They're made under pressure. the more pressure is put onto the stone, the diamond is revealed, and that's the same by us. Years ago, I have lay in bed at the end of the day, in pain, in frustration, completely, like emotionally probably destroyed, and I did shout out maybe, and I'm like, just take me. But the answer was basically, I woke up the next morning, I'm still needed here.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my reassurance, be like, no. Thank God, you don't get what you ask for all the time. But I mean, that was just one moment in time. But I mean, yeah, and sometimes we just need to breathe. Sometimes we do need to take a nap, right? And sometimes we do need that edible, but there are methods out there that are relieving pain. And that is something that I've been really sharing a lot lately, is the fact that there is this concept of mind over matter. And that is what I deal with a lot. And that is something that I'm able to more and more understand. And it doesn't just happen from yourself, mind over matter, but there is some kind of outer cosmic connection that helps you to manifest that energy of healing. So for example, I did lay in bed once with this agonizing pain in my knee. It was so bad. Honestly, like I was lying in bed and it was, I couldn't, it was throbbing and like swelled up and I thought I would have to run to the hospital. I don't know how long it's going to happen. They're not going to know what to do. They're going to try me on all these drugs, and I'm so into the alternative medicine field. And I was like, oh no, what is going to happen? And at that moment, I was starting to remember all of this stuff about neuroplasticity and about the different ways of sending different energy. Like, if you think about it for a moment, if you get a cut on your hand, who tells the cells to go and fix it? Where's that information coming from? It's coming from somewhere. There has to be some source of healing within you. And that's what I'm beginning to discover and share with other people. And it's helping people. And it's helping a lot of people to realize that there is another way. So when you talk about gratitude for a moment, gratitude is, when you think about it, oh, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be here with you. I'm grateful, that I woke up this morning, grateful for my crutches. I used to fight them a lot. But when you're grateful for something that didn't happen yet, you're bringing in that energy somehow. So when the pain was so great and I lay there in my bed and I'm just thinking for a moment and I'm saying, thank you. I'm so happy and grateful now that I feel great. I'm so happy and grateful now that I feel great. And it's one thing to say it, but another to feel it. Not just to believe it, to feel it.
Okay.
So then I start asking myself, how do I feel now that I feel amazing? How do I feel now that I feel amazing? How do I feel now that I feel amazing? Apply that to anything in your life. How do you feel now that you've paid all your bills? How do you feel now that you found that relationship that you've been looking for? How do you feel now that the pain is gone? I want you to find that emotional feeling inside, because how does that feel to you? And when you start thinking about how that feeling is, and your thoughts bring in the information and your feelings manifest it. So I kept saying that all night, and it was going, and it can't even express the amount of pain. And I'm stubborn, so I didn't want to take the Advil, because it's I prefer natural remedies and stuff. So
I'd be popping like 6. So
as I fell asleep saying those words. How do I feel now that I feel amazing? And I began to smile. I know, because it felt. How would I feel, right?
Yeah.
I fell into the subconscious. I fell asleep into it. As I woke up in the morning, the words were still saying out of my mouth, because I've hit the subconscious level. And I really was I was so intense that I woke up in the morning uttering, my mouth was still saying those words. And the pain had gone down tremendously. And it was a lesson for me to apply what you learn. Because out there somewhere, there is some kind of remedy. Isn't there a saying that the venom or something is already there, like the cure is within the venom, something like that? Right.
I wanted to know a little bit about, by the way, great story, like I commend you for being that powerful person. There are times where I personally feel I can't overcome it, but it's the same as a thunderstorm. Today it's like a rainy day and it's thunder, blah, blah, but tomorrow the sun will probably shine, and if not tomorrow, then the day after. If not the day after, at some point it will come out. You are a self-proclaimed peaceful warrior. It's sort of a name you've given to yourself, or maybe someone has given you. Can you tell me exactly what this peaceful warrior mean to you? Like the idea of that word. Now I know in my mind, I was like, well, he's a very peaceful guy. I really like him. He's very quiet. He's kind of very much into himself. He's a warrior because he keeps fighting, and he's more about action than just words. But I want to know, what does it mean to you? Maybe you could share something with the audience.
A peaceful warrior, to me, the definition would be you're pushing and you're letting go, right? So it's you're giving and then you're letting go. So let's say, for example, you really want something in your life, and you put it out there into the universe. You write it down, you do your affirmations, you make your vision boards, you apply every single tool, but you got to let it go and then let the universe do what it has to do. Okay, so in my case, for example, I'm not one to complain, and I don't see the purpose of it. So I can be...
What kind of a Jew are you? What do you mean you don't complain? There's nothing you say, like...
I'm not going to complain about the physical situations I'm dealing with. I'm just going to deal with it. This is what's happening, and that's what it is, and I'll go forward. So, I used to fight getting off my crutches a lot. I used to fight the fact that, I had to do this or do that. Like, as soon as I changed the mentality around that and gracefully let it flow, other things begin to happen. So you start meeting different therapists or people start, I can go to physio. For example, like, you can fight yourself at the gym and push as hard as you possibly can. You're going to hurt yourself. I've done that. So now I have to go with grace, right? It's all about flowing with grace and allowing, as opposed to, wanting, right? There's a difference. We also have to allow things to happen. Sometimes we want things, but it's not exactly what we need, right? And, maybe there's a bigger picture. Exactly.
There are many people out there that are watching right now. Can you, is there any questions that anyone from the audience had asked? No, there hasn't been questions. Usually there are questions that they want to know, but clearly I think it's more of your story that's impacting people right now. I think if I was there, I wouldn't be asking questions. It would be more along the lines of, like, let's just listen in. There are many people that are inspired by your stories. I could tell you that you inspire me. So, maybe it's nothing, I can't pinpoint at one thing, but seeing someone like yourself push himself, I'll share something personal with you that you don't know. And it's a little silly that I'm bringing it up, but I figured that this would be the perfect time. So you and I went to school together, right? I went to Seneca York, you went to Seneca York, and I remember seeing you there doing graphic design and or you were doing something like graphic design, right? Something along like media. Am I correct? You were doing something relating to media?
Yeah.
And I kept saying to myself, why is he going to school? Like, if I was in his position, I'd be like, screw everything. I'll just read books. I'm not the hassle of getting up, having to go to school, having to, like, do homework and create stuff. I mean, I already have my own problems. So when I saw you kind of like being a regular Joe, going to school now with the problems that you already have, with the difficulties that you're facing, and you were doing everything with a smile, that said sort of to me, like, what the hell are you complaining about? Now, of course, my problems are my problems, right? For a kid to tie his shoe, if that's his frustration, that's the frustration that he's dealing with. You can't say, well, you're not paying bills, son, right? This is his frustration. But with you, I just felt that, like, wow, I mean, this person is trying to live a regular life, even though he knows that physically he's not like other people, because you can't run and, you can't shoot a basketball from 3-point range. It's just, there's certain things you just can't do. So looking at you and following your story throughout the past, I'd say, 15 to 20 years, I've learned a lot about you and your strength. So I want to know how, because I've seen it from the side for a very long time, but I know you do presentations. So how has your story impacted others? Because I'm sure some people came back to you and said, it's because of you that I was able to see light. It's because of you that I found the hero within me. That even though I love Batman as my comic book superhero, I am my own superhero, and I'm really dealing with everyday life. So if you could share a short story about a young man or a young lady or somebody that came to one of your presentations and really took something and they were able to change their life due to you.
What the impact on me was?
Maybe both. Maybe like what was the story, and then maybe what the impact. Because I'm sure the impact is there's gratitude there. So I'm sure that you're feeling and you're like, wow, this is great. That was actually I found my purpose, right? But here I want to know more about a story that you've heard where someone maybe was dealing with something even worse, and they looked to you and said, wow, if this guy is able to do it, so could I.
Someone did come up to me about to complain.
Okay.
And they're sitting down, they're like, oh, my feet hurt. And they're sitting down and they're looking at me, they're like, oh, I can't complain to you. And I looked at them straight and I said, yes, you can. Yes, you can. See, I believe we are only given what we can handle. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we can't see how. Mm-hmm. And there's no way possible we can handle what we're dealing with. But that's what you can handle at that given moment. And you have the strength to get through what it is that you have in your life. Some people maybe, you look at somebody else's problems and be like, oh, well, I can't handle that. But you're only given what you can handle at that moment. Mm-hmm. So I explained to them, I said, yes, you can complain, and I want you to, because we still need to let it out. It's just how we let it out and how we see it. Because like Wayne Dyer, what he says all the time is what I live by is when you change the way you look at things, the things around you change. The most impactful things that the feedback that I've received so far have been from the people that have been silent suffering. They've been suffering in silence, and that they've passed away. And they're
because they internalized it, they weren't able to let it go.
I don't know why they passed away, but they were one of, let's say, my biggest fans, and they were always thanking me for what it is that I'm sharing, but we never knew that they were going through what they're going through, and maybe I didn't even know who they were.
Gotcha. So you're talking about this meeting, hurting in silence. That's what you're talking about, right?
They were sick as well. There's some people that were sick, and
right.
And they were following me online for a long time, and then it just goes quiet, and I find out that they passed away, and all they had was gratitude. Not one word, and not anyone knew around them that they were going through an illness or whatever. Right. And there's other people also that, it's the ones that they're quiet on social media, but they're listening, but they're also very, very grateful. That kind of moved, it really moved, touched, inspired me, and brought me to tears to know that I helped someone to get through their last legs, their last time in life. And
have you ever been in a situation where you saw someone who was struggling, maybe like someone who wasn't able to express themselves about how they're feeling, and you were, as somebody that's dealing with something, were able to see that within them and was able to pull, to start that conversation with them? Because what happens is, like, let's talk about, depression. Clowns, they're there to entertain, but they might be depressed. They have their own life. They have their own thing. So making people laugh is sort of like the look, that everybody gets to see, but in reality, they go back to their sad lives or whatever it may be, and they're struggling. And you never know. You're like, how can a clown be sad? Tell me maybe a little bit about if you've seen people who were internalizing their pain, and you were able to bring that out of them, to have them open up. Because I feel personally, and you can correct me at any time, the minute you allow the tears to come out, the minute you allow the anger to come out, you become better for it. Today I did a course in the morning, and it was about self-development. And there were people I wasn't crying, but most people that were there were crying. And they were apologizing. And I was like, what are you apologizing? I'm dying to cry in front of you. Like, I'm dying to let it out. I'm just struggling with it. And you could see that after they were crying about what they were feeling, they were happy. So they needed to cry. They needed to let it out. So again, I'm going back to, taking circles. But I want to know, have there been people that you were able to spot and say, that person's dealing with something, I could see it, and maybe him and I should have that conversation about life. You ever been in that situation?
Yes.
Do you want to share maybe a story or two or whatever it is?
It's more, there's nothing wrong with expressing yourself, and being authentic is very important, and not hiding behind something or being who you think you should be versus who you want to be, right? And sometimes people do need to share and let it out. But there is an aspect of transformation that isn't part of it, but also it's the shift in consciousness that allows you to deal with what you're dealing with. and to see things differently. So maybe you won't get angry, or you won't cry because you'll be having an oh moment or an epiphany. And those are very special as well. So there's different ways of dealing with what we're dealing with. I do speak to, I like to call them friends, but clients or whoever that, I work with, basically to understand, like, they're going through suffering, they're going through something, and it's hard for them to express themselves. And they don't need to give me all the information. But I don't need all the information, but I do know the struggle. And when you can relate to somebody on a deeper level, that's part of the things, like, as weird as it sounds, some of this suffering and pain or treatments or whatever that I've gone through, I'm able to relate to more people and have more empathy and really, really know what they've gone through, right? Not, thank God, not, like, there's more extreme cases for sure.
Right.
But, like, I'm able to have more empathy, to understand, and really feel your pain, right? So I do encourage you to speak up. I do encourage people to speak up. And recently, in a lot of the talks that I've been giving on stage, or in interviews or podcasts or whatever, it's more about owning what you're dealing with. And when you own it, you create a sense of freedom around things, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially when you make fun. If you can bring some humor into the situation,
right?
There's so many stories about people just watching funny movies to get through, cancer treatments or whatever it is. Helps them raises serotonin level.
Yeah, we had a guest who was doing aggressive positivity. Like, that was her thing, to be able to get out of cancer. Just making sure, I don't want to hear anything bad. Fine, the test didn't go well. Just put me in, but everything is great. Let me sing along. Let me enjoy it. What I want to ask you, I want to sort of wrap up, our conversation. But first off, again, for those that are watching, I'm here with Warren Falkenstein. You are an inspiration. You are a person, in my opinion, that a lot of people should be listening to, should befriend at Warren Falkenstein. And what I really wanted to ask you is, how do you work with your family? Like, what is your family dynamic? And the reason I'm saying this is because what you're dealing with is not just about you. There are more people that are involved. You have your parents that are at a young age all of a sudden had to, like, drive you to all these places. You have a brother, what's your relationship with him? How has the disabilities changed your relationship? Did it make you guys closer? What people seem to forget is when one person is dealing with a problem, it's no longer just their problem. It's everyone around, everybody that cares. And what I really want to know is how has your relationship with your family come about when you were dealing with all your issues? Meaning, have they been supportive? I mean, I know that they have. The friends around you. So talk to me a little bit about the support system that helps, because it's not just about you, right? It's doctors, nurses, friends, family, whoever it may be. So I want to hear about the support system. And the reason I'm bringing it up, it's difficult for me to talk about it, is because there are many people who have passed away in the past few years that I've known. And many of us are still struggling. They're not here. They're no longer battling. But we're still here feeling that pain. And I want you to maybe, since you're alive and everything is wonderful, like, maybe talk to me about that support system. So a person won't take his own life. So a person won't give up on himself. Your story can inspire anyone who is dealing with anything. So talk to me a little bit about the support system and the importance of the support system that exists.
Community and family is something there's no words to say how important that is for somebody. And when we go back to saying somebody who's going through something and you don't want to live anymore, or you don't want to be part of society or contribute anymore, but there is someone else that you can support. And when you support another person, you're supporting yourself. When I hold space for meditations, or when I do a meditation with people, or when I'm doing a session, both the giver and the receiver receives the energy of what's going on. Especially when you want just to be a conduit of what that person needs, right? I have some taxi drivers, for example, that they would be thoughtful to help me out the car, but they would take my crutches out the car and then be like, okay, come, I'll pass them to you when we get out. And it doesn't work like that, because I need my crutches to get out the car.
Right.
But every case is different, right? So, for example, somebody would think that, for me, using a bathtub for a shower is easier than somebody, walking a shower is completely dangerous, right?
Right.
I can't do escalators anymore because I had an incident. But we don't know what someone needs support of.
Right, right.
So when we ask them, how can I support you? Or what can I do to help you to be supportive, right? Versus what they think they need. There's a story, my favorite story is there's a lady standing across the street and she's got all her groceries and she's holding her groceries and she's just standing there, and then this guy comes up and he really wants to help her and he says, come, I'm going to help you cross the street, and he tries to take her groceries from her.
She doesn't need to cross.
And she doesn't need to cross.
Right, right.
So she's like, well, I don't want to cross the street, I'm waiting for the bus, right? So there's different levels of helping other people and there's different levels of support. But when you, especially if somebody's going through an illness or disability, the pity parts and feeling bad for them and showing you're feeling bad, yes, you can have compassion and empathy. Yes, you can share their pain, but you need to empower them and inspire them and raise them up from anything you can do in their mind, right? To help them get through what they're getting through and to give them hope and know that they're needed. So when you ask me about family and friends and society and contribution and friends, I'm very grateful. And I also love people. So I love people, and I always also push myself to go out there, and socialize and meet people and hear their stories, because everyone has something to share.
Absolutely. I wanted to know, to conclude this with one last question, and it's like, what is your ultimate goal? Do you have an ultimate goal? Not just to live life, but I think you live a life of inspiration. So I'd like to know what would be that, maybe there could be goals after that, right? You could always say, I want to be a star of a major film, but maybe after I'd like to do the sequel, right? So, but what is that ultimate goal of being, right now I said to you, it's going to be TED Talk all over the world, and you get to inspire everybody. What would be that ultimate presentation or the ultimate thing for you as a person of inspiration? Because it doesn't have to be a talk, right? It could be even a little boy, and you go, look, I have a relative who is struggling with something, and if I can help this person get up and do something with his life, then my work's accomplished, right? It's no longer. Sometimes it's not just about the macro; it could be just about that micro. What's the story with the starfish, right? The boy who threw the starfish into the water. There were millions of starfish, and the father walks up to him and says, there's millions of starfish. You're not going to be able to save them all. It's like, yeah, but the ones that are in the water were the ones I was able to save. So, talk to me maybe about what is that ultimate goal that you may have as you live on this earth. Maybe you haven't thought about it. I don't know.
I would like. My intention is to raise the awareness and to raise people up from whatever it is they're dealing with to a higher level, right? To a higher level of consciousness, in order to get through whatever they're dealing with, but to have the tools available that they're able to apply it whenever it's needed. So I can work with them for as long as I can, but then, teach them how to fish, right? So basically,
how to live with it.
How to live with it, but also be like, okay, so today I need this tool. Today I'm gonna, instead of sitting in a Zen-like meditation state, I'm gonna play my favorite song as loud as I can, and I'm gonna sing and I'm gonna dance. But they'll know what they need when they need it, and to inspire as many people as I can during my lifetime, and as long as I'm there to be in this world.
So basically, correct me if I'm wrong, your goal is to not have a set goal, but just to keep on moving. So meaning continue to inspire. There's not like, oh, if I've inspired 1 million people, I've done my job.
No.
For you, it's more, I have to continue this for as long as I'm here and to make others recognize that life is worth living. Am I correct?
Yes, and to inspire people to speak up and share their stories.
This has been wonderful. I gotta be honest, I know you for a long time, but I never really knew your full story. And I'll tell you why I didn't know your full story. I was scared. I was scared of touching a nerve, like asking something that is uncomfortable for you, I figured how many people must ask him what happened. Like for me, it was like maybe he was in a car accident, maybe this. I had no idea, and I just saw you as a regular person at a certain point after college. I just kept seeing you around. You know, I've been to your birthday party many years ago, but there was something about you that I was always scared to really find out what is the problem. I just knew that there was, but I didn't want to get into it. Do you get like people who fear having that conversation with you at times because they don't know what you have? They kind of, I can't explain it because like I feel embarrassed over the fact that I never knew.
Don't feel
and
embarrassed.
I looked at this situation, I was like, well, now I'll get to learn a little bit about the disability and where it came from. And to be quite honest, it's got nothing to do with disability. It didn't change my my perception of you in any way. All it told me was like, wow, something happened all of a sudden, just like a car accident, right? We drive every day, something can happen, and now this is what I have to deal with, and this is my life, and this is how I'm going to push forward.
A person with a disability, I believe, sees more, feels more
Mm-hmm.
than an average person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough because it's not normal for the person that doesn't have one. So they're not sure. They want to be sensitive to the fact that they're going through something.
Right.
In my case, yes, I'm completely open. And if you ask me, if somebody in the street asks me what happened, I'll tell them I was playing soccer in an ice rink.
That's good.
Right?
That's awesome.
Why would I do such a thing?
Yeah.
So I kind of play it, and I also check to see, I'm not really, I sort of check to see if they're actually listening to what the response is.
Right.
Some people are not listening at all.
Mm-hmm.
I tell them I was parachuting and fell into a football stadium as the ball was flying, and they're like, right?
Luckily, the ball saved my life.
Yeah,
as
the
I was
ball
hitting the
saved,
ground.
yeah,
Right.
so it's like,
Right.
I caught the ball, and
Mm-hmm.
I can have
Scored a
fun with it.
touchdown.
I'm able to have fun with it now, as opposed to like when I was younger, growing up, like, I'm able now to make fun of myself, and that's what brings the joy. I love people, and I'm completely open. When I walk into a room for the first time with complete people that don't know me, but once you get to know the personality,
Right.
and once you see the smile, they're like, it's hard to put the two together.
Mm-hmm.
How can someone be suffering and be smiling and happy and stuff, right?
Right.
And in that video that you referenced, like, that pain was excruciating, but I was still me, right? And that's also my intention, is to get people to a point of still being who you are and still dealing with what you're dealing with, and I'm completely open. Like I am very transparent, of course, to a point, but I'm very happy to share, and I encourage people to share. And when you have a deep conversation or meaningful conversation, as you can see what just happened now, is you learn more about the person.
Absolutely.
Right?
You are, to me, a hero.
Thank you.
And I don't use that term loosely. I think most people that come on the show are somewhat heroic, but I think that everything that we face as people that challenge us make us stronger. But not everybody uses it as a tool or as a mean to go and help others. They may come on the show once, talk about it, walk away, and forget about it. Or maybe they'll say, oh, I don't know even why I came on the show to talk about it. I don't see myself as them. But with you, I do. Because you've taken it that extra step to go out and do talks and to talk about pain, to talk about struggle, to talk about overcoming. I mean, that could be very exhausting. I mean, as I said, like if I had a disability, I mean, I'm just looking at it right now, I don't even know if I want to leave my bed, let alone go and talk about it on a regular basis and to express myself and to hear other people's stories. I can only do this once a week. I can't do this much longer. But I want to really thank you for coming today. Like, as I said, you're an inspiration, and I'm hoping people who are tuning in today learn something new. And maybe if you guys are struggling out there with something that we can't really see, that is not visible, take a note from Warren, that they find that purpose. And in my personal opinion, it's really about that purpose. You have to find it. If you keep saying I don't have purpose, you're out. You're because what's the reason? But you saw purpose as not just your purpose to help others, but I like something you really said, that the universe wants me to be here. I have a purpose. There's a reason why I'm still alive. There are people that are gone. They may have their purpose, but I'm still here to serve that purpose. So I very much thank you for this. I want to thank our sponsor, ENS Plumbing. If you could put out the numbers of 416-821-4441 to call ENS Plumbing. Amazing plumbers. Do you use plumbers? Yeah? Okay, so Eric is the guy, Eric Gelman. Sorry, it's a part of the routine that we're doing. We're trying it. It's new to like work out with the sponsors. I want to send out some shout outs to people who are celebrating birthdays. Robin, happy birthday. My cousin in Israel, Sarit, happy birthday. Who else? Oh, my parents are celebrating an anniversary. 42 years they've been together.
Wow.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's funny because I was supposed to celebrate my anniversary of 5 years yesterday. So it was a little bit of a tough time to kind of just like sit there and take it in. But my parents have the same anniversary day. So it's what makes it great is I no longer have to sit there and worry about my own failure, but rather celebrate my parents. So the best parents out there, happy anniversary. Another person missing, oh, and Arthur, my friend in New York, happy birthday. So on behalf of Warren, myself, Anthony, our producer, want to thank you very much for tuning in today. Until next week, have yourself an amazing, amazing week, and God bless. Happy Pride Day.